All right, y'all, what's up? I know I'm supposed to go live at 8:45, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and go live. Now, I'm not going to be, I don't know what's wrong with me lately, y'all. My sleep since I've been on vacation has just been all over the place. All over the place. So, we're going to get into it. So, Deonte Nash, who was Cassie and Diddy former stylist, honey, he took the stand. Okay, I'm gonna show you a picture of Deonte Nash. Okay, he took the stand today as a witness. He confirmed that Diddy was beating on Cassie. And also the defense team is now stuck. Hold on. It froze. What the hell? Okay. 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 The defense team has now called for a mistrial. It's not going to happen. Before I start, I just want to give a shout out to Torre from MTV. He called out Jaguar Wright today, and I told y'all this a long time ago that Jaguar Wright only went one day during the trial. Also, Jaguar Wright, as y'all saw in my short, said that there were women who were being saved, and that was not the case. Okay, so I'm not gonna be on here alone because I'm trying to catch my boy online, but we're gonna get into a little a recap. So this is Deonte Nash. He was the stylist for Cassie, as y'all see here, and for Diddy. His testimony was he seen him beat Cassie, excuse me, he seen her being kicked. He saw her being all types of things around that time that he worked for them. Okay, and we're gonna get into a lot of things that he said. Now, I'm not sure if he was cross-examined, but I do know that yes, Diddy is calling for a mistrial. His defense team, they feel, a lot of people feel like they got what they were needed, and the mistrial was, I believe, denied. He got his motion for a mistrial denied today. So the mistrial isn't working. So now they got to come up with another strategy of what could work. What could work? Um, and it's not looking good for Mr. Sean Diddy Combs right now at all. It's not. Okay, let's see if I can find out what all happened today with Deonte Nash. Okay. They basically said um that he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to go on the stand. He didn't want to do the trial. He didn't want to be subpoenaed. But since he's there, well, let's go. So before the jury was brought in, they all addressed her state of Ventura, showed the message of Miss Ventura's state of mind, that the problem was not being to recall Miss Ventura as a witness. So they couldn't recall her as a witness. They had that discussion. They also talked about, so this is where they interviewed Mr. Nash. He basically said he was making an F off on his birthday and she didn't want to go. They also said a spouse might say he's making me go to Rangers game. I'd rather not go tonight, and that it was cross examination. Let's see if we can get into everything. And it seems like they had him up there for a while. And then they interviewed the DNA investigation team as well. Let's see. So they talked to the government. They called for the LAPD officer, which is Christopher. He took the stand and say someone gets a 911. Someone calls 911 and gets sent to the next of an LAPD PD unit on duty. His shift that day that they got a call on 2011 of December 22nd was 6 to 6 p.m. And he said he got a call about NAM code 3 with lights and sirens on Hollywood Hills, and they found an Escalade. He memorized the plates, and basically he was saying that we didn't have a crime yet. The front door was unlocked. So this was when they were talking about Kid Cudi home. They basically talked to him. You know, he talked that they said it could have been from Bad Boy Records. They did a cross examination. They said it was 13 years ago. He said that he read his partner's report. He said he didn't know if he saw the porch or remember seeing the porch, but he remembers seeing everything else. He thought there was a pew in there, and they put a BOLO on it on the car because they believed that there was a weapon in there as well. So he said a little bit of something of what. Now I want to give y'all some key facts. Now this is what they said. They said a handkerchief burned a lighter on the ground, which they found as a cocktail. So basically there was a handkerchief in the bottle, right? Let's say you got a bottle of alcohol. Alcohol is flammable. So you take a lighter, you can see the lighter being there, and I guess whoever held it, the handkerchief, a piece of it fell on the ground with the lighter and threw it in. So that's what the DNA said that they had found near Cudi's car. Now, this is what's crazy. They said they asked him, this is a DNA person, y'all. They said it was an Old English 800 malt liquor bottle. And it was a designer type scarf or silk that was targeted to use to light it, right? Now they said that the partial DNA profile was consistent with they asked was it consistent with a female contributor. He said he was told that, and they asked what did he mean? Do you know what it means? And he said no. And then they pulled an objection. But basically they're trying to say that it wasn't a male. They're trying to say that basically it wasn't a male that threw it in Kid Cudi car, even though they believe they're trying to say allegedly that a female, he got a female to throw it in that man's car. Okay, because of the scarf. So they did a little sidebar. I just want to share a little bit of that. They asked him about him being in a holding cell. There are questioning investigations at this time, which is crazy. But I want to get into Deonte Nash because, I mean, they basically was cross-examining, the people asking of that. They said they wanted to move forward with a mistrial. The judge said no. They should have ended when the fingerprint cards were destroyed. So they basically asked for a mistrial because they're saying that basically prosecutors are trying to can Diddy at this point, and they're trying, Mr. Steele, he did this with Young Thug. Young Thug had got off. And he basically saying, listen, he's not having a fair trial as a black man. Y'all trying to give him life. We're seeing that all of this is with a DV situation. It's really not what y'all making it. But prosecutors are like, no, baby, this is what we're making it. Like, we're listening to witness talk. This is what it is. This is what is given right now. That's exactly what they're saying. So being, Mr. Steele saying, Brian, I'm sorry, saying him and his team are saying, hey, they've been arguing this since trial. This is a DV trial. Prosecutors saying, no, this is a RICO trial. This is what we're having for. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, everything doesn't add up to it. True. But with some of the witnesses, it can add up to it. Okay. The juries have already told that questions are not evidence. So they already said to only use what is need to be used when they go into the jury vault of whether he's guilty or not. The evidence they have from the witnesses, things that happened and things that saw. Remember, I told y'all that they were only going to allow them to use what they needed, right? So some of the stuff that they did have, the judge already said he didn't want the jurors to use that and go off of that. He was going to make it fair. Some of the stuff can't be used. It really can't. Either way, when it comes to them trying to sway the jurors, they're going to have to take some of this stuff out because it's not going to fit into what they want. Let me see if I can find Deonte Nash, but that's really what's going on. Let me tell you something. I might not be a lawyer. I should have went to school, but I'm gonna tell you something. I've been around enough people who have dealt with the law, and I'm gonna say this: some people can get their stuff off, some people can't. But with this, while I'm looking for it, we're just having conversation. I've said before and I say it again, that I feel like prosecutors, I'm tired, y'all, but I'm working through. I can't go to sleep, so I had to go live. Prosecutors and defense team arguments are strong and they have great valid points. They do. Whether we like it or not, they have great valid points. When you think about it, when it comes to them telling their size and getting everything, settled and things of that nature, what they're trying to do, let's be honest. We're gonna be honest here. When it comes, we're siding with it like, oh, he guilty, right? But then when we sit here and listen to the cross-examinations, that's when we know, okay, wait a minute, hold on. So it gets us to where we're like, ooh, dang, he could be going, y'all. He could be gone. But then you be like, oh, then when that cross-examine, you like, wait a minute. What? So I'm trying to get to where we start with Mr. Nash. And I might not start with everything, but we're going to get into it. So, let me see. I want to look at my thing before I jump in. Okay, I see it now. So they decided to call Deonte Nash, right? Which is the next witness. They called Deonte. He said he was under subpoena, and they asked him, did he want to be here? Deonte said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't want to be here. Y'all subpoenaed me to be here. I ain't got no choice but to tell the truth. What you want to know? That's exactly what he giving. Deonte said, I've been minding my business. I got clients. I don't want to be here. But since I'm here, what we got to do, okay? So they asked him what was his job. He's a celebrity stylist. In 2008, he started for Puff and Cassie. Now you can tell that some of the witnesses have worked with him longer, have used Puff, because remember, he was still Puff. He didn't change it to Diddy. He didn't change it to Daddy Love around that time. It was always Puff Daddy. From 95 to 2000, like recently, he changed it to Diddy. I say around 11 or 12. So you could tell they still called him Puff, right? Okay. And said, they asked him, how did he get hired? He said there was a Craigslist ad for Bad Boy Entertainment, and they showed him a photo and everything. He said, not even close. It's a glamour shot. He said, and then they saw his glamour shot. He said, yes, I look amazing. Everybody that was laughing, it was like, oh, okay, then, Deonte, okay, Mr. Swag him out, And then he said, they asked him how often when he witnessed Diddy and Cassie interact. He said once a week. Now, these are the names he called Cassie. This is what Diddy called her. He called her B, a hoe, a cunt, something cunt, baby girl, a slut, and he would call an all right hoe slut anyway. and she would be sad about him calling her that, right? So, he wasn't, Cassie wasn't happy having being called these slurs by this man. Like, because like she said, she loved him. She didn't want to be called those names. Hold on, I lost my spot. Why am I here? Hold on, y'all. Because now we're going to go to other people. Nah. I don't know why it took me all the way here, but that's not what I asked for. Okay, here we go. So he called her these names that she didn't want to be called. Hold on. I hate when my computer... Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me a minute. So, they asked that Puffy makes threats. She said, yeah, that he would beat her. That he send X tapes out. And they asked him how often. Now they say how often when he beat her ass. He said quite a few. It drove her crazy. She would be super emotional. She might stay in the house for days. And then they said, how often did Combs would get out with his, how often did Mr. Combs say you could not go out without his permission? He said twice. The first time we went to a gay club with Cal and Adrian. Then we went to her LA apartment. Puff called and told her she better bring her ass to his house. She had panicked. So basically, Deonte said, listen, we went to a gay club. Me and Cassie had fun. She was hanging out with my friends. And Diddy did not like that. Diddy did not like her being with all these different men. He didn't like it. Okay. And then they called for objection or whatever. It was like it was hearsay. And then he said overruled. He said that, Cassie would pack her stuff and she went to her house after spending time, with them. And then that the Oscars after party, Puff was there. They say she looked great. Her hair, and they said objection overruled. Her hair was long. He picked me up and threatened me. I pinned her hair up. And then they asked if she recorded music. They said she did all this. So basically, he's like, listen, I styled her to look great. I pinned her hair up. She looked good. He threatened me if it wasn't a certain style that he wanted her to have or wear, then he had an issue with it. So then they asked about the music. He helped pick songs. He said no, but it was put out free, meaning her. So they asked her, was her mixtape ever sold? And they said her mixtape was put out free, but it did well a top download, meaning it was streaming around that time. She got good with downloads, so people downloaded, like making mixtapes and CDs. But it wasn't a hit like people thought it would be. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't nothing to be on the radio. I guess that's what he's saying. It wasn't something for the radio stations to pick up and like, let's play this. He said that her music was, he would be generous to say 10% of her music was released and then they took a break. And so they came back, they asked about the 2013 mixtapes. They said they're not going to use that. When they persuaded jury, they're not going to do that. They came back from break. Everybody came back, and they came back with their questions. So Comey had asked them how many times in person has he witnessed, Diddy hitting her? She said quite a few. And then she told him, this is a silly exhibit without saying her name. Do you recognize this person? We'll call Mia. And he said, yeah. They say, were you and Mia helping Cassie Pat for the OVO Fest in Canada? Now, we back to the OVO Fest, which is Drake's thing, that he has in Canada once a year. So then, they asked who came to the door. He said, Puff. He said, bitch, didn't I tell you to answer your phone? Then he dragged her by the hair and he hit her. And they asked how hard he was hitting. They said objection. He said very hard. We ran to the bathroom, but Puff pushed it open. He continued to attack Cassie with his fist. What did you try to help? He said, I jumped on Puffy's back. He threw me off and Mia too. So basically, Mia and him saw, Diddy sitting here punching her in the face, hitting on the collar, beating, knocked, as he usually do. So they jumped on his back and they was like, no, like, you not finna hit this girl. Now you gotta remember, around this time, they have to patch this stuff up, these bruises. So they're like, you ain't finna hit this girl, like you doing too much. And so they jumped on his back, and then he knocked them off. And they went to flying across the room. And as they flew across the room, guess who jumped back on Cassie? Child, this is a mess. Now, he said Cassie hit her head, hit the bed frame. She was bleeding, but Puffy continued hitting her. They asked where Mia getting towels. What did Kong say to you and Mia and Cassie? He said, look at what y'all made me do. He said she'd go to a plastic surgeon, meaning I'm going to mess her face up to where she going to have to go to a plastic surgeon now. And then they said D-Rock, who was Puffy security guard, they said after that, when did you see her? He said the next day she FaceTimed him and she had a gash in her eyebrow. We saw that picture. If y'all want to see it, it's on the internet. They asked him, was he ever cooking with Cassie? When Combs got violent, he said, yeah. And they asked him what he said. He said, y'all better get out my house. He was grabbing her by her hair. He pushed her out the door. And then he began to do the same to him. But I don't have hair. He popped me. He told me to go downstairs and wait. That's exactly what he said. He said they came down and Puff was beating us as we drove off with a phone call. They said objection and they asked a new question. They asked him who he got a call for. He said Puff. He told us to stop and we came to the window. He said he put out her sex tapes on the internet. He threatened to put them out because they jumped in because they were saving her. And then he said, Puff said he sent her sex tapes to her parents' job and to get them fired, and that her brother was a bitch and that only he protected her. And then he said, well, they say, well, Deonte, like, what did you say? What did you tell her? That Puff is on the X tapes. She said he is not. He was taping her with other men. Deonte said Puff told him that her brother was a bitch. He said the brother and everybody keep asking, where was her brother? Did she have a brother? Let me tell you something. I said it before and I said it again. My daddy and my uncles and my cousins shut down a bar in Polk County. I have cousins on my mama's side that's been in the service. Baby, it's nothing. I got like a total of 80 cousins all on both sides. Telling you. Lord knows, Jesus, he knows. Because I'm just reading this, y'all, and I'm gasping like, what? He did what? Deonte said, baby, I'm going to tell it today. First of all, Deonte is mad. Deonte sound like, listen, I got to come tell the truth. I got subpoena. I've been minding my business, and you got me. It sounds like the people that don't want to say what's going on feel like they're minding their business, and they feel like Puff done brought them in some mess that they pissed off about. Like, first of all, we passed that. That's how they're acting. Like, I've been minding my business. I'm traumatized. I don't want to talk about this. But here we are because of his actions. Just diabolical. So then they asked her. They asked Deonte. I'm asking like, you talking on the phone. We're going to talk like that. And what did she say about wanting not having with the other men? Objection, they said overruled. I guess it was too much tea. She said she didn't want to. And he drove her to Sunset Boulevard to get a taxi. And they said, why? Because around that time, Uber wasn't a thing in 2008. It really wasn't. It didn't start popping till later. But he said Puff came to his house looking for her. Puff even looked in the oven. And he not sure why. He said Puff took his phone and called Cassie from a hotel. Puff said, let's go there. Bad boy staff stayed there at his house. And they say, well, what did Mr. Combs say? He said, go get her. So he told Deonte, okay, well, since you know what hotel she in, how about you go get her? What kind of devil? Child. So they said they went to the hotel room. Man, and guess who was with them? D-Rock and Tony. She jumped up. She was scared. She said she wanted to jump off that balcony. And they said it was only like on the 4th or 5th floor at the time. It wasn't the first floor. Downstairs, I saw 4 or 5 of post securities waiting. So they basically was like, she tried to jump. So she had to be high. They were going to figure out how to get her down. He wanted her. He didn't, you ain't jumping nowhere. That's basically what he said. So Deonte said, Puff told him, you played me. I drove off, but Puff security followed me. I turned off my lights and drove real fast. I went to Universal Sheraton. I know that's right. You, Deonte said, I cut my lights off. I know that's right. Let me tell you something. Deonte ain't no you could tell Deonte grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? You gonna cut them lights? Oh, you want to fight? Let me cut my lights off. How about that? And he said he went home the next day, but he found his backpack was stolen, had $1,000 in it. And they said, well, why did you keep $1,000 in cash? Deonte said, so when Puff was mad, I would check into a hotel without giving my name. I know that's right. And they asked what happened in 2015. I saw Puff slap Cassie in the face and he said, get this bitch out of here. What did you do? He said he got her out of there. He got her out. So then they asked him about the perfect match premiere. And they asked him, what did he see? He said she had a black eye. And then they say, well, was Mr. Combs violent with it? He said, yeah, I was outside smoking a cigarette. Puff came and threw me on the car and started choking me. So he's saying Puff came out there, put his hands on him and started bothering him for no damn reason. He said he was out there enjoying his Newport. He probably smoked Virginia Slims and he was enjoying his business. And all of a sudden, his happy tail go. So then he said, Puff said, y'all keep going out, meaning like, I don't want her going out with me. And they answered that he reported anything to police. She said, no, I was afraid of retaliation from Puff. Did you get anyone on staff? He said, KK, which is Christina Karam. And they said, well, what did she say? She would talk to him. Did anything change? He said, no, ain't nothing changed. He said, they asked him how much, how often did he helped hide Cassie. He said he would hide her all the time from Puff. He would hide her from him. That was just what it was. He would keep her hidden. Child. So what did Mr. Combs do? He would blow up our phones. KK would too. She would say Puff was calm and Cassie could go back home. Did Cassie tell you she was going to a hotel? She said, yeah, weekly she would pack sex toys. And they said, did she say she wanted to go? Objection of room. She said she wanted to go. Her 29th birthday, tell me. So they asked him about her 29th birthday. He said Puff asked him would he surprise her on her birthday. He said, girl, I was not about to tell him not to surprise her. Basically, he was going to surprise her for her birthday. So when they asked her, did she use the word freak off with you? He said not like freak off, but more like freak off, like a verb. And they asked him about the blind dragon, and he gave the address and said, y'all go get some D tonight. He told them they was gonna get some D. They went to some place, and I guess it's like a room or whatever. And he gave the room number and said that they were gonna get some that night. And she said she didn't want to go, but he made her. They left the house, and when he left the house with her, she was high. He got her high to go to this party. So that was a birthday surprise. Her birthday surprise wasn't, something extravagant. He took her birthday surprise to go have sex with other men. Diabolical. So then they asked him about New Year's Eve of 2017. They asked him when he was. He said it was in Vegas. Cassie and the staff at all the same room on the hotel floor. Puff was room at in the hall. And he said, what did Mr. Combs tell you? That Cassie had been asleep for 24 hours. I had to take her up. So basically, Cassie been sleeping all day. He had to wake her up, and he said she woke up for him, but she wouldn't wake up for Calm. She wouldn't wake up at all. That he spent all his money, so she had to. There was a low budget producer there. And then they asked, how many of your meetings with prosecutors did you end early? He said, probably all of them. Did you stay in touch with Mr. Combs? He said, yeah. What was your tone? Loving. He said, why? He said, I don't hate him. It's not in me. So they took a break. So Nash was like, listen, I don't hate Diddy. I don't hate him. That's not who I am. I just dislike what he did to her and the trauma he put on people. And all the witnesses say the same thing. I don't hate you. They saying it. Even Cassie say, I don't hate you. They don't hate him. They hated the way they were treated, which they have every right for their experience with him. It ain't no hate. They just don't. They just know, like, hey, that baby, I can't rock with you. That's basically what they're saying. So when people say, oh, well, they knew, no, that she don't hate him. None of them hate him. They just can't rock with him. And I agree. Like, a temper like that, I couldn't either. If I'm standing outside smoking my whatever, my ganja or whatever, having a nice time, enjoying the weather while y'all working, I'm taking me a break after I styled her. I got to style her again in a couple of hours, like a couple of minutes, probably like 30 minutes. And after so many takes, and you choke me? Oh, hell no. No, sir, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. Could never. So now we get into the prosecutors. So Mr. Donaldson is going to cross-examine Deonte Nash. Okay. So he is on Puff's defense team. So he's going to cross-examine him, right? Now, child, listen to this. Okay. Now, the judge say, hey, this is a lot. We're getting a lot from him. And instead of getting out of here at 3, we're going to stay till 4 today. We're going to stay till 4. The judge was like, listen. And the judge probably thinking he is a character. He's giving what we need. Let us stay till 4. I want to hear this. So they decide to call him back. I think they said the witness has a flight back to LA. We'll rebook if we have to. But if we could stay a little later and finish with him, I think they'll appreciate it. And that's when the judge say, great, since he got a later flight to LA after this, we could do till 4 o'clock. The judge is like, listen, I want to hear more. I know the judge is sitting here trying to not gag the whole time. I bet you the judge is like, wow, this is interesting. All right, so now we go to Mr. Donaldson. He talks to Nash. He asked him how he was. He said, blessed. When he met with the government, you had an attorney present. He said, yes. The subpoena did not mean you had to go to the office. He said, of course, it didn't mean, he had to go to the office, but he still wanted his lawyer. They say you hired a civil lawyer, Mr. Don, to represent you, considering litigations against Mr. Combs. He says, no. Does that document show that? Is their assumption? But no. I have counsel to protect me. I don't do federal court. He did right. I don't know who taught this man. I don't know who. He did absolutely right. You working, this the government. This is the government sitting here against subpoenaing you to come to this. So he did right by getting his own civil attorney. And you notice that a lot of the witnesses brought their own attorneys to this. And I was like, okay, they was like, listen, you ain't finna get me. I know that's right. I don't blame none of them. Okay, so it says on March 20, he says their assumption, but no, I have counsel to protect me. I don't do federal court. Okay. Then it says on March 10th, 2025, did you tell Miss Comey that you were considering a civil claim against Mr. Combs? He said no. Then they said, what is this? Cassie in the video for the mixtape in 1801, Cassie and Usher. So basically, he decided to say, hey, I'm going to get me a lawyer, because you got to understand, when it comes to this, they're going to say you met with them and said something. And if we've been paying attention to the witnesses are saying, hey, I didn't say that. They ain't saying a lot of them. I'm not saying it's prosecutors. Prosecutors do what they got to do, though. So He said no, none of that. Okay. And then they say, this is the 2016 Bad Boy reunion show. He said, did you pick out that dress? He said, I don't remember. You didn't start as a celebrity stylist. It's what that Mr. Combs introduced you to Cassie, right? I met her, Mrs. Fine. So he said her name, Mrs. Fine. So it's Mr. Combs who made you a celebrity stylist. Sure, go ahead. If that's what you, that's what you want to say. I mean, that's fine. He said they asked him at celebrity stylist, you bit clothes like for Mrs. Fine's wedding. So Deonte had picked out her dress for the wedding. And he said, yeah, I did. And they asked if he knew Groovy Lou, and she said, yeah. He said, yeah. I don't know why I keep saying she. He said, they said as a head of Bad Boy, it was Mr. Combs' interest that his artist Cassie looked good. He said, I suppose if Bad Boy paid for Cassie's studio time, he said yes. Miss Ventura can't go to the studio under Mr. Combs pays. What is young and reckless? He said it's a streetwear clothing brand. Cassie owns part of it. Mr. Combs has nothing to do with it. He said he had to approve everything, meaning they came up with this street clothes wear, and Diddy decided his Diddy fashion. He had to approve everything that was going on. Okay. Was it Brana Belongo involved as a stylist? Who else were you styling in 2016? He said he did Cassie, Puff, Mace, and Little Kim. Major artists on the mixtape. You were executive producer but gave no credit. Meek Mill was on the mixtape. He said yes. And Pusha T, he said yeah. They gave him a break. Then they came back and they said they're going to go at 4 and they're going to go ahead and rebook. So they came back and asked some questions. They asked about his coat. You know, they were flattering Deonte up, like, what size you wear? Like, you look great. Like, he knew what he was doing. So, Donaldson said, nice coat. And that said, thank you. He said, what size? Deonte said, baby, not your size. Right answer. Mr. Combs was the final decision maker. No, some of them look terrible. You are friends with Miss Fine. And he said, yes. When the last time you spoke with Banana? They said yesterday. Not about the testimony, right? She saw it on the news. When you spoke with Cassie yesterday, I congratulated her on having a baby. So he just confirmed that Cassie has had and went into labor yesterday. So Cassie went into labor yesterday. He said that he saw her take drugs, which was cocaine, ecstasy, and MDMA. Which was, they asked if she take mushroom and acid. He said, I'm not like privy to her seeing that. Not to get in your business, but they asked him that he used cocaine. And he said, yeah, he used cocaine. And they asked him that he smoked before meeting prosecutors. He said, yeah, and Maureen cut it short. And he told you it was high. He said that I was smoking. Making a video cost hundreds of dollars. He said, not necessarily. He said, who was Mia, Puff's assistant? You and Mia jumped on Mr. Combs to protect Cassie, right? He said, yeah, and protect him from doing something worse. And D-Rock tried to protect you and not protecting Mr. Combs. He said, yeah. So they say we're at 4 p.m., so the jury is leaving. So basically, Deonte came out here. Now, the defense team is trying to make Deonte look like, baby, he's a druggie too. He's on it too. That's what they're trying to do. And Deonte know what they're trying to do. They really couldn't cross Deonte like they wanted to. Deonte was catching on. So we're going to come back tomorrow with more with Deonte. I guess that was it with Deonte. Deonte done told everything. Deonte got to go back to LA. I'm not sure if they're going to finish with him tomorrow and have him come back from LA to New York. Baby, that's a lot of red-eye flights, honey. I know he's tired. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm finna go watch my boy. Thank you for watching. Later.